Hey there, friends! I'm so glad that so many of you are participating in our paint night tonight. Now, I know it's not the same as the last time we did a paint night. We can't all be together face to face, but I still want us to feel like we're together, we're doing this event together. So, please post your pictures, post comments and pictures of the friends you're doing this with, pictures of the food you're eating, pictures of your paintings. Be brave, come on now. I'm gonna show you, I got my Christmas music on, which I will turn off for the tutorial so you can listen to your favorite music. Let's see, I got my snacks. Got some good Chex Mix there, holiday favorites, some water. And then I have all my supplies that I'm gonna need. So, do me a favor and send me your pictures or videos or comments about how you're doing this paint night tonight. All right. So I'm going to do 2 tutorial videos for you tonight. There's one for the Christmas Nativity painting that's going to be on a 6x6 canvas. And then there's one for the Autumn Deer in the Woods painting that'll be on an 8x10 canvas. You can definitely do both. Just if your group is, if some people are doing one and some people are doing the other, you'll have to decide which video to watch first. But they're both posted right now, so you can watch either one right now. So this is the video for the Nativity painting. This painting will be done on a 6x6 canvas and will be mostly blues with a little bit of white and black. So here are the supplies that you're going to need. These should have all come in your set: an easel, your stencil, a makeup sponge, a toothpick, your 2 brushes. There's one that's really thin and one that's bigger and flat. Your palette, blue, black, and white paint, and of course, your canvas. Now there's a couple things that did not come with your kit that you're gonna wanna grab. You're gonna want a cup of water, a pencil, and a paper towel. Now for this one, for the canvas to sit nicely on your easel and not get a hole punched through it, you're gonna want these arms here down. So you'll see that the arms can be up or down. For the 6x6 painting, you're gonna want them straight down, both of them, so that your canvas will sit nicely there and it's pushing just against the wooden part in the back. All right, let's begin. So to start off this painting, you're gonna grab your palette and your black paint. The first thing we're going to do is basically just make a black frame around the canvas. So you'll put a little bit of black paint right into your palette there. And you'll take the bigger of your 2 brushes. It's the flat number 12 brush, and put it right in that black paint. At this point, you don't need any water yet, so just the paint. And don't be afraid to start. Just start with a black square. This is easy enough. Everybody can do it, right? Nothing to be afraid of. No lines to stay in. Don't have to stay inside the lines. You can just paint a square. Doesn't matter if the line here is straight or not. And then you're also going to want to paint the edges of your canvas. So you want this to be all black. You don't have to go all the way to the back, but it doesn't matter if you get a little bit on the back. That's not a big deal. And turn it and do the sides. Now you're going to end up setting this on the easel, and don't worry about getting paint on the easel. That's what the easel is for. It's to paint on, right? Not sure if you can hear it, but it is super windy here right now. Wind is just blowing through my windows. All right. So you don't have to go in too far, but after you do your square, just kind of do a triangle on each of the corners. So that it's more like, kind of like an odd-shaped octagon, I guess. Has 8 sides, but the corner sides are definitely smaller. And if you want to go in even farther, it's fine. We're going to end up painting over the black, so don't have to worry about going too far in. It's not going to screw anything up. So really, if you want to make it an actual octagon, that works too. And at this point, we're going to actually take a break and let the black dry. So if you don't have your snacks set out yet, go get the snacks. If you haven't posted a picture of your group yet, or the snacks you're eating, or the fun you're having, the music you're listening to, go ahead and take some pictures right now and post them to the comments of this video that you're watching. All right. Last tip before you hit pause, just make sure it's thin, because the thinner it is, the faster it'll dry. So you want it covered in black, but nice and thin. So if you want to take a time to pause the movie or pause the video right here and go post your pics, that would be a good thing to do. All right, so now that your black border has had a chance to dry and you've gotten yourself a snack, now we are going to start on the white and blue circle, the radiating blue circle that's going to be like the background of your picture. So, of course, for that circle, you'll need some white and some blue. And I like to pour them into like these 2 circles and have a space between for mixing. You can also mix the middle too, but I sometimes make the middle too messy, so. So I'm going to start, and here is one of the chances you can use your pencil. So the center of my circle is not going to be the center of my canvas, because I'm going to have Mary and Joseph down here, and so this is going to be the center more. I want the center of the circle more where Jesus' head was going to be. And then you're also going to have another circle going up here later for the star. So go find the center and go like between the center and the bottom and just put like a little X or a little dot. That's just for you just to know that that's basically going to be the center of your blue radiating aura, I guess. I don't know what else to call it. But we're going to start with just white. So I'm using the number 12 flat brush. And obviously we're painting white on white. So this, you're hardly going to see anything here. But next I'm going to grab blue. And I just dipped into my blue. I'm not mixing them or anything. I just dipped into my blue. So I have blue on top of that white. I'm not going to put that right around that first white circle. I'm going to leave a gap. So that's what my circle looks like right now. It doesn't have to be perfect. And I'm going to grab a little bit more blue and go around that circle even more. And around that circle even more. And now, the bottom of the circle isn't quite as important because you're going to have more black down there later, but more the top of the circle. So now I'm going to continue painting that circle, but I'm going to go in until I'm right about there. So I'll leave a white gap there. I'm going to pick up some more white paint and start on the inside of that blue circle. And the idea, of course, is to have the white towards the center and get more blue as we go out. But we don't want like definite lines. So it's supposed to be blended. And the great thing about painting is you can always go over it. So if you get too light on the outside or too dark on the inside, you just add more white or more blue and go over it. And I'm not going to go all the way to the corners. I want my corners to stay black. If you go too far, you can paint over with black, but I'm just going to try to not go that far. And I'm not adding any water to my paint or my brush at this time. I'm just doing it dry. All right. Go a little more white. And this part, I mean, how you want your circle to look is really up to you. And if you want it whiter, add more white. If you want it bluer, add more blue. And it's just making circles. Anybody can do this. This part is not hard. All right, so I've made my circle there. It's pretty white in the middle, but I'd like it to be just a little bit whiter. So I am going to rinse my brush in the water, but I'm drying it off pretty well on my paper towel before I grab more white. I just rinsed it because I wanted to get rid of the blue that was on my brush, even though it's gonna get more blue on it now as I paint, but that way it starts off with some more white. And it's okay to see the brush strokes. I think that's kind of the cool part of this, of the look of this thing. Again, it doesn't have to be a perfect circle or anything, it's just a design. So what I am going to do though is add a little bit more blue to my brush. I just want these outer edges to be more blue and a little bit more smooth. It doesn't have to be perfectly smooth, but I just want it to be a little smoother. I want a little bit of black shining through, but like right here just looks a little bit messy for me. If that's the way you want it to look, that's fine too. So I'm still letting a little bit of the black come through, but I want it to be a circular shape and not just random brush stroke shape. All right. Once you've done this, you have to take another break. So you have to go get some more snacks. You have to post the picture of how you are doing so far, post the picture of who you're with and what you guys are doing and how you're having fun. And give it just a few minutes to dry. It shouldn't take too long. Just test it. Pause the video and then test it. All right. All right, so my circle here is completely dry. I can touch it. There's no wet spots. So the next step is to draw in, or place really, the star. So I'm gonna take my pencil again and I'm gonna put a dot about halfway between the outer edge of the circle and the center of my circle. So maybe even a little up higher. So right about there is where I'm going to put my star. And I don't think you can even see that on the video, but I can see it here, which is the important part. And I'm going to take, once again, my flat brush, which needs to be rinsed. It still has some blue on it, so I'm gonna rinse my big flat brush in the water. And dry it off. All right. And I'm going to start with white. And I'm just going to make a tiny circle right where I put that X. And I'm going to rinse my brush and dry it. And then I'm not even going to put more paint on it. I'm just going to use my brush to make that circle bigger. And then as it's bigger, I'm going to add a little bit more water, dry it off. And extend it even more. So I'm not adding any paint when I do this. What I'm doing is I'm actually grabbing the paint from the center of this is going to be our star, the center of the star, and bringing it out, which gives the effect of fading out. Oops. And then I'm just going to grab a tiny bit of white to put back in the center. And I'm going to actually grab my fine-tipped brush, the little one. It's the number 3 brush, to get a little bit more white, just to do more white right in the center. All right, and again, we have to let it dry. So step away, get another snack. If you have children being wild and crazy, go yell at them. And we'll come back to do the rest of the star in a minute. So for this next part, I should have had you grab it at the very beginning, but I kind of forgot about it. You will want just a scrap piece of paper, but not a torn one. You want one that has a flat edge. You could use a ruler too, but in my house, a scrap piece of paper is a lot handier. And what you're gonna do is you're gonna just kind of hold it up to where your star is, and gonna kind of just measure out how wide your circle is, the diameter of it, and just put 2 little lines for how big you want your star to be. Then you're going to take your thin number 3 brush. You're going to get just a little white paint on it, and you're going to put this piece of paper right over your star so that your markings are at the top and the bottom. And you're going to make a line, but you're going to let half of this brush go onto the paper and half of it's going to go onto your painting. So starting at the top, all right, right over the center of it. Then you're going to get a little bit more paint on your brush. You're going to turn your paper and come down to the center of the circle. And again, staying within those markings and keeping your brush half on your painting and half on the paper. That just makes the line a little bit thinner. If you don't have a piece of paper, you just want to do it freehand, that's fine too. You can see mine got a little bit off center, but that's okay, we can fix that. So we're just going to do a little more of a dot right here. There, now nobody knows it was off center. So we've made a plus. Now, on that same piece of paper, make a marking in just a little bit. So that's going to be your new guide, and we're going to make an X, keeping the center over the center of the circle. But this time I'm going to go from that inner marking, oops, to the other inner marking. Okay, and make the other part of the X. Same thing. All right. So there we have our star. If you want to add more lines in here, you can do one more shorter measurement here and do the same thing. You could just leave it like that. Just depends on how you want yours to look. But if you're going to do the shorter one, then go in between the X and the plus. Again, keeping the center of your measurement right over the center of the star. Oops, I didn't get all the way out here. All right, so our star is pretty well done. If you feel like you can see my paint wasn't completely dry here at the center, so it kind of pulled a little bit. So you can go back and just do a bright white dot right in the center. All right, and then that needs to dry, but while that dries, well, depending on how big your stencil is, you might want to let that dry first. Our next step is going to be to put the stencil on our canvas. Now the stencil, if you want to trim part of it off, you can see mine here. I'm going to want Mary and Joseph. I want the bottom of them to be right at the bottom of my painting. So you can see my stencil comes off. You can trim that, or you can just leave it and place it where you want it. It's no big deal. So the stencil is basically just a sticker. So you're going to rip it off, but just rip it off slowly and carefully. You'll see there's some like fragile pieces right here and here. Then you don't want those to just rip off when you're ripping the sticker. So you want to make sure it stays all in one piece. And if you, instead of pulling it up, pull it like sideways. And then when you get to those little fragile pieces, you can even peel those up separately. If you just lift it a little bit, then it'll come. You can set that white part aside. That's garbage. Ooh, unstick your fingers. All right. So this part might be easier to do with your canvas on the table flat, just to line it up right where you want them. Now because there's a flat edge here and here, for me it was easiest to line that up because I'm a perfectionist, and if I saw that it was crooked from the bottom, it would drive me nuts. So I lined that up and then lay the rest down. Once you get it where you want it, press down on the stencil to make sure that it's tight all around. And like I said, for this next part, it might be easier for you to keep it on the table. I'm gonna put it on the canvas just so that you can hopefully see, or excuse me, I'm gonna put it on the easel just so you can hopefully see what I'm doing. But if I wasn't videotaping this, I would probably just lay it flat on the table. All right. So here is where we are going to use this sponge. We're not going to use any paintbrush. We're just going to use this makeup sponge, and we're going to use this part of it. We're not going to use the pointy part or either of the sides. So you're going to hold it like this, and we are going to take some of the black paint, and we're just going to put some of the black paint in the center here. And I'm not going to put it on there directly right now. I'm just going to go up and down, tap, 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 all around, because because I really don't want a lot of paint on the brush. I want it to be really thin on the brush, but I want the entire bottom to be black. All right, so it's kind of like a stamp, but you don't want a big gob on here or it's just going to bleed through. So, I'll hold it up like this, I think. So you're going to take the makeup sponge with the black, and you're not going to wipe, you're not going to brush, you're not going to twist or turn or anything. All you're going to do is tap, 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 tap. All right? So tap, tap, tap over Mary. Tap, tap, tap over baby Jesus. And if you get some more paint, I would start on the blue part just to get rid of some of it, because again, you want it to be super thin. So we're tap, tap, tapping over Joseph. And as you can see, it's not going to cover them all right away. It's not going to be black right away. That's okay. We want to do lots of little thin layers. Just got paint on my fingers. Thin layers as we tap, tap, tap instead of trying to goop it on there. Because if you do thinner layers, it's less likely to bleed through where we don't want the paint. So tap, tap, tap. Baby Jesus is pretty well covered. I'm gonna tap, tap, tap my way over here to Mary. And I'm not even gonna add more paint very often, even though it seems like there's hardly any paint on there. I'm just gonna keep tap, tap, tapping. Because every time you add more paint and you get thicker on your sponge, you run the risk of making the paint bleed underneath the stencil. Now, if you are super talented, super artsy, and you want to just draw your own Mary and Joseph, you can feel free to go ahead and do that. The rest of us are going to cheat and use this stencil because it's fast and easy, and us perfectionists won't be bothered when we're looking at it then. Get a little bit more paint. You can hear that I'm tap, tap, tapping. Even when I get more paint, I'm just tap, tap, tapping because I don't want to get a whole lot on there. And Mary and Jesus are pretty well covered in black. Joseph is still a little blue over here, so I'm just gonna keep tapping. A little bit more. Joseph's being stubborn. I think it's actually probably the way I'm holding him. I'm gonna flip it so I can hold it better. But you got to be patient with this part. Don't get impatient and start trying to wipe or just fill it in. Just tap, tap, tap. Eventually he will get covered. Say hi to my son Boaz there in the background, peeking in. Bo's gonna do some painting with us later.
Can I see a magic trick?
Nope, not right now. Right now they're painting. They're all at home painting this just like I am.
And I'll like it after the video.
Oh, we'll see. Maybe you can post a video and they can go there and watch if they want. All right, so I'm looking really, really closely at it. From far away, it looks pretty black, but there's still just a few spots where I'm seeing the blue come through. So you can even let this layer dry a bit and then go back to it, or you can just keep at it. But I'm gonna keep tapping. All right. Okay, I'm going to set my sponge aside and we're going to just grab a corner of the stencil. I'm going to pull it down And as we do, hopefully you start to see Mary and Joseph and baby Jesus. Again, doing this on the table would probably be easier, but. All right, so there we have them. Looks nice and perfect, like we painted it so nice, even though we didn't. Now, the next part here is up to you if you want to fill this in black so it looks like they're actually on the ground, or if you want to leave it blue. I am going to fill it in black. And for that, just take that big number 12 paintbrush, the big flat one, and I'm gonna actually turn mine upside down because otherwise I'd be painting it inside the easel there. So I'm just gonna go right along the bottom. I think I had some white on this brush before. Whoops, oh well. We're gonna take it right along. If you were a real perfectionist, you could grab a ruler or a piece of paper again just to make it a straight line, but I'm just gonna eyeball it. I'm gonna bring it up a little bit because I don't want, even though he could, I'm not gonna have baby Jesus just floating up there in midair while Mary and Joseph are kneeling on the ground. I'm gonna put Jesus on the ground as well. And if it's not perfectly straight, it's okay because the ground that they were on was probably not a perfectly flat surface. All right. So there we go. Mary and Joseph and Jesus are all on the ground now, and their shapes are great and the star is great, but I want to add some more stars. So I'm going to grab the toothpick that should have come in your bag. Hopefully you had one. If not, hopefully you have toothpicks at your house. And I'm just going to tap the toothpick in the white. Now I'm going to actually tap it off on my paper towel a couple times just to make sure that I don't have too much on there. And then you're not going to stab your canvas. Just lightly tap all around. And if it starts running out of paint, go back for more. And you can do as few or as many stars as you like. Put them all the way up here into the black. And in the background here, just make sure that when you're putting the stars on, it's just like the sponge, you're just tapping and bringing it up, because if you like turn it all, it's gonna make a line instead of a dot. All right, so once we have a bunch of little dots in there, then I'm going to take the number 3 skinny brush, and I'm gonna use my fingers actually to just make it a really, really fine point. Bring all the bristles together into a point, because even though I want it to be bigger stars than what I did with the toothpick, I still want it to be small stars. So this I'm just going to intersperse in between, and the harder you press, the bigger your star is gonna seem. And I'm pressing a couple times actually, because when I made it too much of a point, it actually was not really much bigger than the toothpick. So if I tap a couple times, again, I'm not making a circular motion, I'm not swiping, I'm just tapping a couple times. It makes the star a little bit bigger. But you definitely want to have some bigger stars. You don't want them to be all the same size, because and it doesn't look like stars, it just looks like polka dots. Or it might look like snow, even though we know it didn't snow the day that Jesus was born. I like to have snow on Christmas. All right, and you could go crazy with all of these dots. Don't get carried away. I've probably done too many already. I do want some more around that bright star though. And I don't know if you noticed, if you're worried about like a shaky hand or something, I anchored my left hand. I'm using the easel to steady it, and then I push my thumb against this wrist, and I put my finger here. It kind of just steadies this hand with the paintbrush so that I'm not just out there wandering around shaking. So, and there you have it. That is your nativity painting. Easy peasy. I hope that you feel good about your painting, good enough to put it up as a Christmas decoration. And whether you feel good enough to do that or not, I still want you all to take a picture of yourself with your finished product and post it in our comments on our Facebook or YouTube page, however you're watching this, because I want to see what you all did. Take some more group shots, eat some more snacks, and post pictures of those too. Make us all hungry. Who has the best snacks? And I hope you had fun with whatever group you did this with, or even if you did it by yourself, I hope it was a nice, relaxing evening. And even though we're far apart and we're not together face to face, I hope you felt like you were part of this group of people doing this event tonight. Have a great night, and we'll do it again soon. Congratulations, you have finished your painting, hopefully. Hopefully you didn't get too frustrated to the point where you just stopped. I hope you finished it, and I hope that you post a picture of yourself with your painting, either to our Facebook page, our Facebook comments, or the YouTube comments, however you watched. Yeah, I hope you had fun. But now it's time to clean up. So I just want to talk to you a little bit about cleanup. If you are able to save them, the palette and the brushes, just rinse them in water, warm water, cold water, it doesn't really matter. Just rinse them off. You don't need to wash them. Just rinse them. The brushes, if you feel like they're still in good shape, you can put them with the palettes and return them. If they got too bent out of shape or they just won't come clean, don't worry about it. You can throw them. So what we need back at the church basically are just the brushes if they're good enough, the palettes just rinsed off, and then the easels. So the easel should be pretty easy for you to fold up. You fold the back in, you push on the sides, voila, put it back in the box. If you could just bring the easels and the palettes back to church on Sunday, you could drop them at the church office during the week, or if you'd like me to come pick them up, just email me and let me know. I'm happy to come and do that. All the paints are yours to keep, and of course your canvas with your painting is also yours to keep. All right. I hope you had fun. I hope you feel connected to the people that you were painting with and all the other people who are painting tonight. I miss you all, and I hope we can do this again soon. Bye.